Hey everybody, it's time once again for another edition of Whatcha Readin', where myself, a trained, highly skilled comic book professional, gives my expert opinion on what I have chosen to read. I only do this because people say, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? I'm going to beat you to the punch and basically let you know what I've been reading. I get a lot of people say, what do you read any current comics? What do you think of current comics? Most of the current comics I read are crowdfunder, what is often called Comicsgate content. Whoop, 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 danger, danger, Comicsgate. This one is Monster Hunt. Let's Get Crackin' by my buddy Mike Barron. And I support anything Mike Barron does, as should you. And this is a fun little romp. It's kind of a crowdfunding Comicsgate event, as Mike pens a story where Nexus meets Lone Eagle, created by Mike S. Miller, and Doug Tenapple's Bigfoot Jim. And it's a typical Barron romp, very much Nexus based in its level of epicness and absurdity and sci-fi wonderfulness. And there's lots of eye candy here. It's a fun story. It's a solid superhero romp with some laugh out loud lines. And I really enjoyed it. If I have any criticism at all, it's that I'm very, very well versed with Nexus, but I did not know that much about Lone Eagle or Bigfoot Jim. And I wish there'd been a little bit, maybe a couple of Magnificent Seven type scenes where we see how cool they are before they meet up with Nexus. But that's a quibble. I assume that Mike didn't have the real estate to do that kind of thing. Maybe if he had another, 5 or 6 pages, I'm sure he would have done that. But this is a crossover event. It's kind of cool. As far as I know, it might be the first crowdfunding crossover event, but there's a lot of crowdfunding projects out there, many of which I'm not even aware of. So maybe crowdfunding crossovers is a thing that has happened before in the past. But I dug it. It was fun. Anytime Mike Barron puts pen to paper to create a comic thing, I'm there for it. And as I said, tons and tons of eye candy. And if nothing else, if you can find this book on eBay or wherever, because the crowdfunding campaign ended a long time ago, this comic's worth it for the ending. It's worth it for the last 2 pages, if nothing else. The last 2 pages were just fantastic. What a payoff. What a promise. Okay, next book I'm looking at or read, a little bit more serious, The Lion and the Eagle. It's from, what was it, Aftermath Comics? Aftershock, one of those comics that's quickly going down the tubes. This Lion and the Eagle, it's by Garth Ennis and PJ Holden. It's a Garth Ennis war story. And it's got everything you want in a Garth Ennis war story. It's well researched. It's got compelling characters. And of course, the action delivers and delivers and delivers. PJ Holden does a great job on the artwork. I had the honor of working with PJ on one of the Medal of Honor comics that I write. And he did an incredible job on that. And he does an incredible job here. Garth Ennis, is very much inspired by the weekly, British war comics that he read as a kid, those little digest-sized Commandos and War Picture Library and all that stuff. But he takes it up a notch. Garth doesn't write boys' own adventure type war stories. He gets a little bit more into the grimmer side of war. This one is about the Burma Theater, where the Chindits, it was a unit created by the British, and it was part British, part Australian, part Indian, and Gurkha troops. And they went right into the jungle to fight the Japanese. Desperate battles, just a horrible, horrible environment to be in. And Garth presents it in all of its grim glory. Garth approaches this stuff differently than I would. I mean, this story is told from the point of view of a pair of officers. There's not a whole lot of attention paid to the grunts. I'm talking as a writer here, not as a reader. I mean, it was an epic, wonderful, entertaining, and thought-provoking story. But I just would have approached it differently. But that's the problem. Garth and I are attracted to the same kind of material, but he has a different approach than I have, and I can't help when I read his stuff to sort of, what was he thinking here? Why did he do this and why did he do that? These aren't complaints. These are like nuances. These are my own personal little whatever insights into the work, and I just wonder, why did he do this? Why did he do that? But it's a hell of a read, and I really, only Garth has the juice to do something like this. But it's not sized like a comic book. It's sized closer to a European comic album. I wish I had the juice to get that kind of stuff done. But which really adds to it. It's more formatted. It's like a large version of a British war comic. The way it has a wider page, which really makes a difference. It really makes a difference, especially in telling a story like this. And PJ takes full advantage of this larger format with these enormous, detailed 2-page spreads. But you get the whole Burma Theater here, the whole Southeast Asia struggle against the Japanese. It's all covered. A little bit of the air war, a lot of the infantry stuff, artillery, all the rest. Just a good, solid war story read. My own personal preference for research material in this, I haven't read a lot about this period, but I would recommend a book called Quartered Safe Out Here. It's George MacDonald Fraser, who created the Flashman series of novels. It's his own personal memoir of being an officer leading a group of Scots in this very theater, in the Burma Theater against the Japanese. And it's a real eye-opener, and much of it told from the point of view of the foot soldier. And some of their discussions and opinions and stuff as remembered by Fraser are real eye-openers. And I know I keep going to this Popeye book. I've been reading this Popeye book in little bits and pieces because it's a collection of Popeye strips by Bud Sagendorf from 64 to 65. And I don't ever read these beginning to end. I don't read them cover to cover because that's not the way these strips were meant to be read. So I basically read each continuity. And I finally finished it. And I have to even more highly recommend it now. It's been 3 weeks in a row I've talked about this Popeye book. But the final story where Popeye and Olive somehow end up on planet Mars, it's worthy of Seagar. It's just absurd in the extreme. Obviously, Popeye and Olive Oyl ending up on Mars. But it's a terrific Mystery Planet story. It really builds. It's got some seriously wacky ideas in it and a great payoff. I know each week I've recommended this book, and each week I've recommended it with increasing amounts of enthusiasm. But the Popeye and Olive on Mars story really clinches it. That if you like Popeye Comics, you got to get this one. It's very good, very funny. On a completely different note, Siege of the Black Citadel is out, still doing well on Amazon, but you can order it directly from Arkhaven. And if you order it directly from Arkhaven, you not only get the paperback, but you get an ebook version of it free. And as I've said before, I have completed the second of these Conan novels, and I am well past the halfway point on the third one. So check it out if you dig Conan, if you dig Robert E. Howard. I'm getting a lot of real positive feedback from people who I respect, and that's very much appreciated. And I'm also having a lot of fun. Anyway, till next time on What You Readin', I'll see you down the road.